from Fall River. And let me start by reading the nomination letter that we received on your behalf from the governor. It says, "Dear councilors, I am pleased to nominate Lois Eaton to the position of Associate Justice of the Juvenile Court, Hampden County Division. I submit this nomination to the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and purely to all factors." Once again, welcome everybody. And would you like to identify some of your guests this morning?
If I may, yes. We have Pauline Raymond, who's a case specialist in the court's office at the Hampden County Juvenile Court. We have the Honorable Judge Collins, James Collins, also from the Hampden County Juvenile Court. This is my husband, Greg Eaton. My son, Wally Eaton.
Did you say Wally?
Wally, yes. Walker, but I like to be called Wally.
Great.
And my mother-in-law, Sally Eaton, and my father-in-law, Gordon Eaton.
How do you do?
And over here we have John Breton, who's a friend from Wilbraham, and my son's a former baseball coach and an all-around great guy. And we have Henry Bach, also known as Hank Bach, who's a Springfield police detective with whom I worked for many years in magistrate hearings and criminal complaints. And he's retired now, but he was nice enough to stay with today. We also have Jerry Jones and Suzanne Koga, who have flown in from California for this hearing. Susie's my friend from college, and she said she wouldn't miss today's hearing, so I'm really grateful.
Aren't you great? Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask your four witnesses to address the council. We record these proceedings, and so councilors who are not here have an opportunity to listen to the tape and be informed before they vote. And we start by asking Judge James Collins to step forward.
Jim's just as good.
All right, and you would stand to the right of Attorney Eaton. There you go.
Thank you, Councilor Merrigan and Councilor Fiola. It's a great honor for me to be here and to speak on behalf of the confirmation for Lois's appointment. Nearly 8 years ago, with Ed O'Brien presiding, this council honored me with appointment to the Juvenile Court. And today, it gives me a great second honor with your presiding to speak on behalf of Lois Eaton. After your confirmation 8 years ago, I got right to work. And being a new judge, of course, one is on a really high learning curve. I was assigned initially primarily in Hampden County and sit primarily in Springfield. And I observed right away that there was a very special person who was an assistant magistrate working in the Springfield Juvenile Court, and that is the nominee before you today. Without question, she was, and I believe is, and this is said with a great deal of respect and compliment to everyone else who works in the fine clerk's office, that Lois really is the go-to person in our court for attorneys who wish to discuss law and procedure with her. She has a reputation of treating everyone with a great deal of respect and helping them have true access to justice. Like Fall River and many other larger cities in our Commonwealth, Springfield has an economic poverty rate that's 3 times the state and the national average. Almost everybody we see is economically impoverished, and you get right down to it. I really do believe that crime breeds abuse and neglect, and all 3 are the result of economic poverty. Lois Eaton, for her years as a magistrate, has lifted people up when they come into our court. They are treated with dignity. They know that they'll have their day before the court and a day of justice, and they're treated with a reverence for our judicial process. In our court, as in Fall River and in other big city courts, it's not atypical to have the type of case which I had a couple of weeks before Christmas and Hanukkah holidays were starting. I was seating a jury to hear the case against a 12-year-old boy who was barely this high. He was charged with breaking into a local convenience store with a high-quality loaded derrick, along with several other young petition letter where the baby is in the local Bay State hospital, born addicted to crack cocaine. That's what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, the ravages of economic poverty. I truly believe that Lois Eaton will govern her courtroom with great dignity, great civility, with outstanding knowledge of the law. But she's going to be there primarily to bring justice and help change the status quo. So it's a great honor for me to come today and support Lois Eaton. I'd like to thank the governor for his nomination. I think it is a superb nomination for the high honor of being a justice in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Judge Collins, 8 years now we've been
8 years.
in juvenile court. Refresh my memory, before that, had you been a practitioner in juvenile?
Private practice for 14 years. And then prior to that, a member of the legislature representing Amherst and surrounding communities.
What was the level of your experience in juvenile court?
I had some cases. I was primarily a family practice lawyer, so I spent more time actually in the family and probate court, and then a general practitioner with criminal experience, civil experience. I did a lot of municipal law as well. My true love has always been working with youth, and that really started working with an program at UMass, and then my 14 years here in the legislature, I was either vice chair or chair of the Committee on Education.
You talked about the grave situations you see every day on the bench. You talked about bringing justice and changing the status quo. How have you been able to do that? How do you see that policy?
Well, this year's statewide, as you I don't know, this year's statewide, there'll be about 14,000 criminal complaints, delinquency or youthful offender complaints brought against young people. There'll be about 9,000 CHINS petitions, a young person is stubborn, truant, or runaway. And there'll be about 5,000 petitions statewide for care and protection to protect the child where it's alleged that their guardian or their parent have abused or neglected them. The Springfield court is typically either the second or the third busiest court in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Some years we've had more care and protection cases than any other court in the entire Commonwealth. While the challenges are great, there's also a lot of good news. On the care and protection cases, 2/3 of those cases resolve with the children and the families being reunited. So I think that what the court can do is be on point in terms of making sure that our state agencies work well to help bring families back together and solve the problems of abuse and neglect. Where I would see Lois particularly reaching out, and I think this is a great opportunity for our court, would be, in addition to reaching out to the executive branch and executive agencies and working positive, to reaching out to public and private not-for-profit institutions. For example, UMass Amherst ought to have, again, an upper ground program. It doesn't right now. We could fill 10 upper ground programs out of Springfield every year, and that's no hyperbole, no exaggeration. The young people that come before us in the